Uh, Good evening, everyone. It's 6 o'clock, and welcome to the second webinar for Seymour Centre. We're just going to give it 2 or 3 minutes just to let people come in, and we'll be back with you shortly. Thank you very much. Okay, shall we kick off then, Ben? Okay, well, good evening. Good evening again to those that were here at 6 and saw me for a few seconds. My name's Kevin Day, and I'll be chairing the session today. And I'm involved in coordinating the project with others, and there are team members here today to answer questions at the end of this session. And those that are speaking will introduce themselves, so I won't do that now. Just to say that we will be recording this session so that we can place this onto the website, and those that couldn't make it this evening can actually watch this through, and they can be informed and ask questions at a later date. Just to say that there may be some glitches. There were some glitches yesterday just in terms of delay on some of the slides. It does seem to be working quite well in the practice session, so fingers crossed. So what I'd like to do is introduce you to your new cabinet member, David Boothroyd, and David is the cabinet member for Finance and Council Reform. Over to you, David.
Thank you, Kevin. Yes. Hello, welcome to the second phase of public consultation around the future of the Seymour Centre. My name is Councillor David Boothroyd, and in the new Cabinet, I am responsible for projects in the Council's buildings as Cabinet Member for Finance and Council Reform. On behalf of myself and Councillor Tim Rocker, who is Deputy Leader and Cabinet Member for Young People, Learning and Leisure, we're delighted to become involved in this project, and we'd like to say a huge thank you to everyone who has contributed to the consultation so far. Although we are new to the Seymour Centre project, we are very keen to learn from centre users and the local community how to improve the plans and make the centre a more accessible, diverse and exciting community hub. We know that leisure centres and libraries and community facilities are valued and need to be at the heart of the local community. So I'd like to reaffirm the Council's commitment to taking forward the improvement project at the Seymour Centre and delivering changes to create a modern community facility to serve residents for generations to come. So with that, back to Kevin.
Okay, thanks very much, David. I'm going to move on now to Catty, who's going to introduce herself and take you through the slide presentation. And after the slide presentation, there'll be an opportunity for questions. And please don't be shy if you want to put some questions as we go through. Put those in the chat and we will pick those up at the end of the session. So over to you, Catty.
Thank you very much, Kevin, and good evening, everyone. I'm Catty Garamani from Make Architects. I'm going to take you through some slides which show our proposals as they stand to date. We are very much at consultation stage, very early stages of design, so we would very much welcome your feedback on these proposals as we start developing them. Next slide, please. I think we all know where the site is located, in the heart of Westminster. Next slide, please. Our vision for the building for the Seymour Centre is to really create a new community hub, which is more than just a leisure centre, more than a leisure centre. We want to bring all of the community into the building, whether they're there to exercise, work, learn or play, or just be in the building and meet each other. The building is a beautiful Grade 2 listed building, so refurbishing this beautiful building will also be at the forefront of our design principles and retaining the historic fabric. But we will be looking to make the building as energy efficient as possible to meet Westminster's guidelines in terms of sustainability, as well as making the building accessible for all, and we'll talk about that shortly, but creating a new building which is a place for families as well as for individuals, for old and young alike. Next slide, please. In terms of the design principles for the building, we're looking to reconfigure all the existing spaces to make better use of the spaces and to be able to put new uses into the building. We want to create flexible spaces within the building, which the community can use for a wide range of uses, and we'll show you that in a moment, as well as consolidating the Marylebone Library into the building within a new family hub, as well as retaining and hugely improving and enhancing the existing leisure and changing facilities which are in the building. Next slide, please. We've carried out a number of engagement sessions through webinars such as this in the past, and we also undertook a public survey, which was very useful, and we've been looking into the feedback from the survey and incorporating those where we can into the design of the building as it moves forward. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, the building is going to be more than a leisure centre. The leisure centre is a very important aspect of the building and will be enhanced and improved. But as well as the leisure centre, the Marylebone Library is going to be moving in, as well as the registrars. But the heart of the building will be the community facilities, such as the climbing wall, the soft play, a cafe, flexible event space, and other bookable spaces, and the children's learning zone. All supported by various ancillary spaces that are within the building. Next slide, please. So how are we doing this? How are we getting all these extra uses within the building? The building is arranged over 3 floors, and there was a lot of disused or inefficiently used space within the building, which we are using much better. For example, the disused pool tank, where we've located the fitness suite at the heart of the building, or the disused courtyard, which we're covering over and adding a new floor for the new soft play, which I will show you. So we found lots of additional space within the building to incorporate the additional uses. Next slide, please. One of our key aims for the project is to make it accessible for all, whatever their ability or their issues that they need to deal with. So that will be, we are introducing 3 new lifts to create step-free access across the centre. Currently, the building is very poorly served for anyone who has mobility issues. The existing pool doesn't have step-free access either, in terms of it's not within the same level. And so we are looking to change that to make it accessible for everyone. We are enhancing and improving all the changing facilities to bring it in line with the new changing places guidelines, and generally making much better wayfinding for an easier navigation for everyone within the building. Next slide, please. So starting on the lower ground floor, as I said, we are using a space which was right at the heart of this floor, which wasn't being used, which was the disused pool tank. And we've located a fantastic new fitness suite within that. The lower ground floor does have windows going around it. There's a light well around the building. So around those light wells, we've also located new studio spaces, as well as an improved and enhanced squash court, an upgraded climbing centre, a relocated and improved spin studio, as well as a new and enhanced spa and beauty offer within this floor to really create a fantastic new and enhanced leisure centre within the building. Next slide, please. So these are just some images to show some of those uses. So as I mentioned, the squash court is being enhanced, as is the existing climbing area. We will have new flexible matted studio spaces and other exercise studio spaces within this floor. The spin studio will be relocated to this floor as well to create a better offer in terms of the spin studio. A fantastic new gym and fitness suite in the middle, as well as the new spa and beauty facilities, and new changing rooms to support all of these uses. Next slide, please. On the ground floor, we're retaining and refurbishing the 5-court sports hall, as well as putting in a new community cafe on the corner, enlivening that corner next to the entrance, and the first floor of the library, which will house more of the vibrant uses such as the children's library and some of the more learning type spaces. We also have flexible community space within this, within the ground floor, which will be bookable and flexible for anyone in the community to use, as well as a relocated soft play and enhanced double height soft play area, and the refurbished climbing centre as well. We are retaining and enhancing the existing swimming pool by creating level access and bringing it into Sports England guidelines as well, supported by enhanced and improved wet change facilities, as well as new studio spaces. Next slide, please. So these are just some images to show the uses on the ground floor. So making the swimming pool accessible where it currently isn't, it's not step-free at the moment. Creating new flexible studio spaces that can be used for all sorts of different activities and uses. A new children's library within this floor at the heart of the family hub at the Sholdham Street end of the building, which is also next to the soft play area as well. Refurbishing the 5-court sports hall to bring it into modern standards, all supported by a new community cafe, improvements to the entrance hall, which we will show you a sketch of in a moment, and all with lots of flexible community spaces that anyone can book and use. Next slide, please. Thank you. So this is just an early sketch, illustrative sketch of what that reception area will look like. We're looking to create a single entrance for everyone into the building, removing the existing platform lift, which doesn't serve the entire building, and it will be replaced with 3 additional new lifts, which will give access throughout the building. Removing the barriers, cleaning up the entrance so you can really enjoy this fantastic new entrance to the Seymour Centre. From there, people will be able to navigate to either the library, the family hub, the registrars, or the fitness studio, swimming pool and sports hall. Next slide, please. The sports hall itself will be refurbished. It's a beautiful space and we're looking to retain it. We will be bringing it into modern standards in terms of working as a sports hall and for the courts themselves. Next slide, please. And here is a sketch of the library cafe. So this will be a community cafe at the corner of the building, activating that corner next to the reception, which we envisage will be used by either people using the library, families visiting the centre, or anyone else who might want to pop in to use the cafe. Next slide, please. On the first floor, we have the upper floor of the library. This is the quieter learning type spaces with the book storage as well. Adjacent to that is the registrar's facility. But there is an existing balcony gallery, which is not very accessible at the moment in terms of the number of people, and that has a fantastic view over the sports hall. So we're looking to bring that back into use for people to use or to hire as a flexible space within the building. There are other flexible spaces located on this floor, as well as opening up access to a roof terrace on this level as well. Next slide, please. Sorry, there seems to be a little delay. There, thank you very much. So the first floor has the upper floor of the Marylebone Library, the new roof terrace, as I mentioned, the range of flexible spaces which are dotted around throughout the building, and the registrars, which will offer a new facility within the building for small weddings and ceremonies. Next slide, please. So this is just a sketch showing how the ground and first floors will work together. We really see this building as being much more than the sum of its parts. So all the different uses coming together within the building will hopefully create a much more inclusive and diverse building for everyone in the community to come and use. As I said at the beginning, whether it's to come to play, to learn, to work, or to exercise. Next slide, please. Handing back to Kevin.
Okay, thank you very much, Catty. So the final slide is just really reiterating that you can get in contact with us in any which way you would like. So the doors are always open. You can ring us, you can email us. And we've also got some events coming up in the next few weeks, so you can come and see us. And it would be great to see you and to talk it through with you. It's much easier to talk and explain than it is in a virtual world. So you can see there Tuesday the 14th at Marylebone Library, the 16th at Church Street Library, and on Saturday the 18th of June, 10 to 1 at Seymour Leisure Centre. So please come along if you can. The other thing just to note before we go into the Q&A is just to say that there will be a questionnaire coming out after this presentation. So we'd encourage you also to give us feedback on that questionnaire. So let's go to the questions. I've been looking at the questions as they've come in. We've got a lot of questions from swimmers and some of them are quite similar. So what I'd like to do is to ask Claire to answer those. There is a general question before that, and so if I'm able to ask you 2 questions, Claire, if you can if you can pick that up. So the first question is, why a hub rather than a leisure centre? So that's the first question. And then the swimming questions are all around a perception that the swimming offer is less than they've got now. So really trying to explain how we've tried to enhance that swimming offer. And I'll come back with any other specific ones. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Hi, everybody. My name's Claire Nangle. I'm head of capital programmes in the corporate property team at the council, which means I'm responsible for all capital works to all council buildings, and as such, this project falls within one of my areas of responsibility. Why a hub and not just a leisure centre? Because we have the ability within the building envelope to create, as Catty from Make Architects has outlined, much more space. There's a significant amount of underutilised space in the building at the moment, but that people just don't see. It's hidden away, and in particular the redundant former large pool tank is a huge structure that we can remove, and we can create space for a fantastic gym in that space, which enables us to co-locate a number of council services, and we're really focused on making sure that the centre reaches out to more people who don't go into the building at the moment because they don't think that leisure's for them. They don't like sport, they might not like swimming, they might not like going to the gym, but they might like to read books and they might borrow books. So it's a key aim to get more council services into the space without diminishing the leisure offer at all. Kevin, forgive me about the pool. Are we diminishing the pool offer? No, not at all. I think we have to say at the moment that the pool is currently significantly underutilised. That might come as a surprise for some people on the call who might swim at peak times and feel it's very busy, but actually it's significantly underutilised. And one of the reasons it's underutilised is that lots of people can't use it because it's not accessible, and a key aim of the council is to ensure that not just the leisure provision, not just the swimming pool at Seymour, but all of our council services are accessible for everybody, and that's why we're moving forward with consultation that proposes an accessible pool, changing places, changing rooms so that everybody in the community can swim, and not just people who are lucky to be able to physically get into the pool at the current time. Over to you, Kevin.
Okay, thanks, Claire. I'll come back to you on a couple of more questions, Claire, in a minute, but I want to give you a rest, and there's some technical questions on the swimming bit, which I'll go to Catty. There's a specific question about step-free access to the pool, and how is this going to be achieved in practice, and how many lanes are being provided in the swimming pool. Oh, there's another one.
Nope.
Gone.
Thanks, Kevin. So in terms of step-free access, as people who use the pool will know, there is a level difference between the main level of the building and the swimming pool. The swimming pool is lower. To bring it to be level, what we are creating is a new lining for the pool. So it's a much better swimming pool in terms of waterproofing, and bringing that level up so it is absolutely level with the main floor level of the rest of the ground floor. So it'd be very easy for anyone who has any sort of mobility issues to be able to navigate their way through from the reception area into the changing rooms and through to the pool area itself. In terms of the size of the swimming pool, it will be 4 lanes wide and 25 metres long. The additional space that this gives us around the pool is better for any parents watching their children during classes. Currently, there's no space for that. People sit in the corridor outside the pool area, and also to make it safer for people to walk around the pool. It is very, very narrow on the 2 long sides of the pool. In fact, where the lifeguard station is, it's very, very precarious precarious that lifeguard station. So to just create a little bit more space around the pool, we think will create a safer and more accessible pool for more people in the community. Back to you, Kevin.
Thanks, Catty. Just a specific question, just to get the detail out. Will the wet change area only serve the pool?
That's back to me.
Yep.
Yep.
Back to Catty. Yep. The technology, I did say, takes a bit of while to go over. Yeah.
Thanks, Kevin. So the wet change facility is specifically for the swimming pool area, and will, as Claire mentioned, will be in line with the changing places guidelines and standards. There is a separate changing facility next to the fitness suite, which will be a dry change facility, and a separate changing facility again for the spa area. So there, although people don't have to use separate facilities, there is that facility. So if you're only going to use one or the other, you can use separate facilities. Back to you, Kevin.
Great, thank you. So I'll go back to Claire, as I've given her a bit of a rest. So we'll go back, continuing on the pool theme. There's been, as I say, there's been quite a few questions on the pool. I've combined some of them, but there's a specific question about the learner pool and whether we will have a learner pool or not. And I wonder if you could answer that one, Claire, please.
Thanks, Kevin. We're still consulting about that and looking at that option. So clearly, as part of this consultation, we'll be taking into account people's views on that, but no decision's been made yet on that, Kevin.
Okay, thanks, Claire. There's also been a couple of questions on the cafe and whether the cafe is something which is required and needed, given that there are a number of cafes, you know, locally. So it was really picking up that question, Claire, if I could come back to you just in terms of the thought process of that cafe, please. Thank you.
Hi, yes, we've had a lot of feedback, especially from parents, saying that they'd welcome the ability to access refreshments at the Seymour Centre. So we think that from the point of view of picking up that demand, parents who might be dropping off children at swimming lessons, events in the hall, events in the library, quite significant demand from them for refreshments. I've seen in the Q&A a question about whether the council would run it. I think I can quite safely say no. The council doesn't run any of our internal cafes in council buildings, so we would be looking to ensure that that's an opportunity potentially for a local business. But we have had good feedback from parents in particular that they would really value that space within the centre, and it's deliberately next to the library, so it's seamless between the library and the cafe. So we envisage good linkages between those two spaces within the centre. Thanks, Kevin.
Okay, thank you, Claire. There's a couple of questions that have come in. One relates to soft play and the reason why we're introducing soft play, although I think there is soft play currently there. So it's the reasoning behind that. So back to you then, Claire.
Yes, there's already soft play in the centre. It's popular. There was significant demand from the Marylebone Mums and Dads group for it to be reinstated last year because it was closed for a period of time. It's popular. It could be significantly improved. there's demand for it, and we've had good feedback from local families that they really value that within the current offer, and would like to see it enhanced, and we're able to do that.
Great, thanks, Claire. I just wanted to ask Catty now, because this is a sort of physical question, really, an orientation question, and it links to two issues. One is the registrars and the inclusion of the registrars, and the location of the registrars as opposed to the gym. And I think there's a suggestion that the gym has been relegated, being placed into the basement. And I think there's a perception that registrars just need storage areas coming out in the question. So I think that perhaps needs to be picked up as well. Is that okay, Catty? If you could pick that up, please.
Thanks, Kevin. So the fitness suite is located in the space and the heart of the lower ground floor, because that provides us with a fantastic large space where we can create a really amazing new fitness suite facility. The other spaces within the building are narrower and smaller, and therefore do not allow for as flexible a layout for the fitness suite as the large rectangular space on the lower ground floor. In terms of the registrars, this is not a storage facility. This is a space for the community to come to register births, deaths and marriages, and will serve people coming into the building. Claire, did you want to add anything on registrars? No? Back to you, Kevin.
Okay, thanks, Catty. There's some questions here around the cafe competing with other cafes. I think we've sort of picked that up, but within the question, there is also a question about security. And the artist's impressions show no security gates at the entrance. They are necessary to stop unauthorized people getting to lockers. So this is a security issue and a sort of signpost issue for the designs. So I just wondered if you could pick that one up, Catty, that would be helpful.
We're currently looking at access across the building. So what we are looking to do is to make the building as open and as inviting to everyone in the community as possible. There are many spaces which should be accessed by anyone, such as the library, the family hub, and the registrar's facilities, as well as other spaces. There will, of course, be spaces that will need security access, or such as the fitness suite and the swimming pool. People will not be able to just wander in there off the street. But we're looking at using technology to make this less of a barrier within the reception, and to make the reception as inviting and as open as possible, and to create those secure points further within the building to control flow towards the swimming pool and the fitness suite, etc. Back to you, Kevin.
Great, thank you. There are specific questions about the British Sub-Aqua Club, because we did meet with clubs a couple of weeks ago, and I think we had a similar question yesterday, which is about how we have adapted or had thoughts about the feedback that we've had from then. So I'm going to go to Catty on that, which I think you picked up yesterday, Catty. Thank you.
We have met with the Sub-Aqua Club, as well as the other clubs that are housed within the existing Seymour Centre fairly recently, and we are really looking into how we can accommodate them within the building and the various requirements that they each individually need in terms of storage facilities, in terms of any specialist spaces that they need, and we will be incorporating that into future plans as we move the plans forwards. So that's definitely something we're looking into. Thanks.
Great, thanks very much, Catty. There's a general question about the project in terms of how long it will take. There's some central milestones, but there's also a question about access and how we can make it accessible, not just to the physically able, but for everybody. And perhaps, Claire, if you could pick that question up.
Yes, I'm happy to pick that up, Kevin. Accessibility is really important, not just physical accessibility, but for all of the community. We're actually the first local authority in the country to sign up to the Welcome Me app, and we're really pleased as Corporate Property that we're rolling that out to all of our public buildings, including all of our libraries. We've recently completed a tendering exercise and are just completing the procurement of a specialist access consultant, and there'll be some specific dedicated consultation around that. We're also involving our own staff group, the ABLE staff group of disabled members of staff who act as a sort of expert sounding board as well. That's not in place of having a professional on board, that's as well as. So over the next few months, as the design progresses, we're going to be doing a lot more consultation specifically around all aspects of accessibility to make sure we get it absolutely right. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you. Coming back, there's been a couple of questions on the pool, but I think we've sort of answered those in the round. What I'd like to pick up is the specific still on the pool, but I want to go to Catty and say, you know, from a building point of view, you know, why was the main pool not reinstated? You know, in terms of the design functionality, you know, why were we looking at that and dismiss that as a possibility? Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. So we did look at lots of options for relocating the pool, reinstating what was the historic pool and inside the main sports hall, but it would have been at the cost of the sports hall and the 5-court setup. There was nowhere else within the building to locate that. We did look at potentially introducing a new floor within that sports hall. However, this was completely a no-no from a planning and historic building point of view, so that was not possible. So if we want to maintain the 5-court sports hall, which is integral within this facility to the local community and to local schools, the best place for the swimming pool is where it is currently. Back to you, Kevin.
Thanks, Catty. There's a specific question about the depth of the pool. Are we able to answer that? I think I may know the answer, but I'll go over to you because I may get it wrong. There we are. Catty.
The depth of the pool will remain as it is currently, so it will go from 1 metre to 1.8 metres, so there's no reduction in the depth at all. As I mentioned, we are looking to put a new liner within the existing pool just to make it a much better waterproofed swimming pool and a better quality and up to modern contemporary standards. Back to you, Kevin.
Okay, thanks, Catty. There's a question here. It's still about the pool, but I think it's a general question really about space and storage, because that was something that came out being part and parcel of some of the discussions with the clubs over the last few weeks. It was about storage being quite, you know, flexible with this and trying to make more of the space. So the question is actually, will swimming clubs have access to the pool? At the moment, clubs are told there is no space, but I think there was also something I saw which was about storage and whether you could perhaps pick that up as a general question, Catty, just to illustrate our thinking on that.
So in terms of storage, in the meetings that we had with the clubs that were within the building, we had very good discussions around what sort of storage they needed for equipment and all sorts of other things that not just the Sub-Aqua, but the other clubs within the building needed. And as I mentioned, we're looking to integrate all of that within the new plans as we develop them moving forwards. I can't really comment about any other swimming clubs. We've just been talking to the clubs that are within the building already.
Great, thanks, Cassie. We haven't got anybody from registrars here, but Claire, please push back to me if you don't know the answers to these, but I think you might. So there's a few questions on registrars which you may have seen, and it's why is space being given over to registrars and wedding area when we have one a few streets away at Council Hall? And I just wonder if you could pick up, and will the old council chambers in the LBS still be used for weddings? So you're able to give some feedback on that. Oh, thank you.
Yes. Yes, I can pick that up. The registrars are actually located at 3 premises at the moment. They're at the old Marylebone Town Hall, which will continue. That's their main base and very, very popular. More weddings take place there than any other venue in the country, registrars colleagues tell me. Weddings also currently take place at Mayfair Library, but the service that we're looking to relocate into the Seymour Centre is actually currently based at Harrow Road. And I did see a comment, Kevin, in the Q&A that this is about cost saving. It really isn't. The Harrow Road base doesn't cost the council very much at all to run. The net saving will be negligible. This is about ensuring that a service with a significant number of people using that service is actually centrally located and co-located, and as well as conducting weddings and registrations of deaths, they also carry out registrations of births, and we can see huge synergies between that activity and the library service. The registrar service can see huge possibilities for their service going forward, and a lot of people use it, so there'll be significant increased footfall. What I would say, because I've seen some of the questions about space, the space allocated for leisure within the Seymour Centre is not reduced as a result of these proposals. It's exactly the same space, and we've had some very positive feedback from the current leisure operator, Everyone Active, especially around the location of the gym, especially around the size and the nature of the spa facility. They're really positive about that. This isn't about taking away from the leisure offer. This is about enhancing the entire offer in the whole building by, as Katy's outlined, identifying additional space that people simply don't see at the moment, which exists, which is hidden and completely underutilised. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Claire. There's a question here specifically about CCTV and theft, but I wonder whether it's the general question really about security. And I know that we're not in terms of final designs, and we haven't got specifically detailed plans. We're at the stage that we're at, but I just wondered, Katy, is there a thought in terms of your design, in terms of security for the building, and how that might be embedded within the design itself?
Of course, Kevin. So in our experience of working on public buildings like this, we will be looking at all the security issues in the building as we develop the design, as the spaces start to settle. As I mentioned, we'll be looking in terms of access, who can access which spaces, whether those are barriers or access control to doors, as well as obviously discrete CCTV being located within the building, so that people both feel safe and secure, and everything is as protected as possible, whilst maintaining and balancing this sense of openness. Technology has really moved on, and we can really work with the technology to create that, to make sure that we have the right balance between a secure building and an open building. But that will come in following stages as we work through the design.
Thanks, Catty. Just coming back to you again in terms of design, there's a question here about the soft play area and facilities for disabled children being incorporated. So I just wondered, whether that design, that sort of perhaps level access and perhaps specific equipment had been thought about. Thanks, Catty.
So we haven't designed the soft play in any detail at the moment. We've just allocated the space. It's going to be a fantastic double height space, top lit with light pouring in from above. As Claire mentioned, we have appointed now a specialist access consultant who will help us with the specialist design of these types of spaces, because accessible spaces are not just for mobility issues, but they're also for other issues such as neurodiversity and any other issues that children may have. We want the building to be as accessible, as inclusive as possible. So any specific feedback that anyone on the call has would be very welcome, particularly as we move forwards with the design.
That's great. Thanks, Catty. I think perhaps the last question, in terms of it's more of an operational question in terms of the building itself. And there's a question specifically here: is everyone active remaining as the leisure operator? And I just wonder, Claire, if you could pick that up in terms of, and I guess nothing's been decided, but perhaps the process in terms of and the timeline, perhaps.
The short answer, I guess, is that I don't know. We don't know. There's obviously a contract between everyone active and the council. Things have been difficult around COVID, and I know that there are discussions between the operator and the council to make sure that it's the contracts and the arrangements and the provision continues to be a success and continues to be as managed as well as they do. What I can say is that we've spent a significant amount of time talking to everyone active and getting their feedback, and making sure from an operational point of view that the adjacencies and the massing of various proposals fits in with their operational requirements. And as I said before, they are really pleased both with the idea of the gym space, the enhanced spa facility, and fully supportive. We continue to work really closely through the leisure service with everyone active to take on board their feedback. Thanks, Kevin. I did see a question. I don't know whether you want to pick it up about the timeline for the development.
Yes, please. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, just to say that at the moment we haven't got that level of detail because we need to talk to the contractor. We're in that process now of appointing a contractor to help with the designs and help with the detailed planning. So we're not able to at this point in time say how long the construction programme will be, but we're all going to be working very hard to ensure that we minimise the period when the centre is closed, that people are signposted to other council facilities, but making sure that we do we conduct the build in a way that really makes sure that when the centre opens, it's really high quality, and we don't cut any corners because of time. So we're not able yet to give an indication, but over the coming couple of months, few weeks, we should begin to get more of a sense of the detailed programme. Thanks, Kevin.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we've concluded the questions. There were also some positive points in there about the cafe and other bits and bobs. We didn't do those. They were comments rather than questions. So there are a range of different views, and we want to collect all of those. And if you'd like to come and have a chat face to face, please come along to those sessions. We've got one next Tuesday at the Marylebone Library, and we've got another one at the Seymour Centre on Thursday. So please come along, introduce yourselves, tell us what you think, and you know, we'll be very pleased to discuss these very exciting plans for the community hub, to add value to what we can offer to people in that area. So thank you very much for coming, spending your time with us, and hopefully we'll have another session. We'll get to meet you in person as well. So thank you so much. Bye-bye.